So I'm going to do a super quick December wrap up because I've had my 3 beautiful nieces here all day and we have been doing all that terribly fun stuff and yet terribly draining stuff like climbing mountains and swimming, and so I just want to get a feed and go to bed pretty much. Most of the books I read in December I borrowed from my library, so I don't have an actual physical copy, and if I'm feeling a little bit less nostalgic, that word, less tired, I might put some pictures here, but if I don't, please forgive me. So the first book I read was Paper Towns by John Green. I read Fault in Our Stars and I really liked it, and I was keen to read more from John Green, so I read it and I really liked this book. It was different and I really liked Q. Not a huge fan of Margot, but I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to go into spoiler territory, so I'll just give very brief synopsises, okay, if I give them at all. Second book I read was Breathe by Sarah Crossan, and this book is kind of dystopian, and they've killed off all the trees, and some people in the pod.
You're right.
Someone just crashed in the hallway. And then the rest of the people live out of the pod and there's no oxygen. It's very dramatic and quite good. And I didn't know that it was a series, but apparently it is. And now I'm Devo because I don't have the rest of the series. The third book I read in 2014, December, was Along for the Ride by Sarah Dessen. And I just adore Sarah Dessen. And she's just like a contemporary young adult writer. And this was another one of her brilliant books that I read, and I can't remember the specifics of it because I read like a heap of hers in the last 2 months. The next book I listened to is Sammy, I Love You by Sally Nielsen, and this is a true story, and it's about this girl, or it's kind of, she's telling the story about how her fiance, who was 22 I think, had 8 strokes, and he kind of became very disabled, and it's just kind of the ups and downs of her and his lives on the road to discovery. Oh God. Not discovery, recovery. The next book I read was Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson and Lauren Miracle. I had just heard so much about this book and everyone was like, it's winter, let's Christmas read, and it's not winter here, but I still wanted a Christmas read, and I really wanted to read this book because I really adore John Green, and so I did, and I really liked all 3 stories. Yeah, they were all really good, and I think it's something that I definitely would like to reread like every Christmas. I really want to read what's it called? My True Love Gave to Me, of course. But I'll probably have to wait till next Christmas. And then the last book I read for 2014 December was Cracked by Claire Strahan. And this is an Australian book about a 15-year-old girl who is totally different to me. She's just, her opinions and her mum's opinions are really, we kind of clashed. But I still really enjoyed the book. I enjoyed it less afterwards. It's one of those books you enjoy while you're reading it, but it sits with you and you're like, yeah, didn't like it as much. But it's still a really good book, and they talked about Home and Away, and if you don't know about Home and Away, it's like this huge soap opera in Australia. And Brax, who my cat is named after. Anyway, I've got to go because I can smell the sausages cooking, and we're having a Barbie, so that's my December wrap up.